Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources, your research, all those notes, and we distill them down. We aim for those sharp, kind of surprising insights. The goal is that shortcut to being genuinely well-informed, and hopefully with just enough humor to keep you listening. So today we're diving into a bit of a fashion fantasy. Picture it. August 10th, 2025. Okay, the official invites might still be pending, but the theme for next year's Met Gala, it's already out there, captivating everyone. The Garden of Time. Now, here's the twist. What if we could sort of invite an icon like Marilyn Monroe? Not literally, obviously, but imagine her spirit, her essence showing up. How would that manifest in like a totally contemporary haute couture look for that theme? That's the creative challenge we're exploring today.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is the Met Gala itself, right? It's this amazing canvas. It's all about fantasy storytelling through fashion. And our sources, they let us connect Marilyn's, timeless thing, her essence, with this theme, the Garden of Time, which is so much about blooming and maybe fading too, and how modern couture, the really cutting-edge stuff, could bring that whole idea to life.
Right, so legacy, fashion, imagination.
Yeah.
How does it all fit together? Let's unpack it. Okay, first things first. Why Marilyn? I mean, we all know the image, the beauty spot, the poses.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable. But what was her actual influence? Like, how deep did it run in fashion and culture?
Well, she was foundational, really, a true paradigm of beauty in the 50s, early 60s. Her influence wasn't just fashion, but photography, too. Similar to Grace Kelly in that era, it was huge. And you still see designers referencing her today, constantly. And thinking bigger picture, she wasn't just, a style icon, she was instrumental. She played a massive role in shaping what we now think of as modern celebrity culture, even influencing language, public attitudes. She was more than just clothes.
Oh, absolutely. And you see it in specific looks that just stick.
Yeah.
Like the pink dress from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, unforgettable. Or that incredibly daring sequin dress for JFK, the Happy Birthday, Mr. President one.
The second skin, yeah.
Those have been benchmarks, didn't they?
They absolutely did. And her image just grew after her lifetime. Think about Andy Warhol's Marilyn diptych. Her face, 50 times over. Pop art royalty. And photographers, Bert Stern, for example. His fame is intrinsically linked to his photos of her.
Mm-hmm. And then Madonna, years later, bringing that 1953 look back for Material Girl, linking it to luxury, the Tiffany diamond. It just cemented Marilyn's place, didn't it, as the symbol of glamour, allure.
Totally. Lodged in our collective memory.
Okay, so we've established Marilyn's enduring power. Now, let's talk about the Met Gala. It's famous for these wild, over-the-top outfits. Fantasy versus reality gets blurry. But what's the deeper significance? Why all the fuss every year? It's more than just a party, right?
Right, that's a good question. Why does it matter so much? Well, it's a huge platform. It elevates fashion to art, really. Designers showcase incredible craftsmanship, sure, but they also tap into trends, history. It creates this cycle, costume influencing fashion, fashion influencing costume. It's dynamic. And there's this element of collective fantasy, especially around themes like liberation, identity. Fashion becomes a storytelling tool, much like in film. It reflects society, our dreams, our anxieties even.
And these themes, like the Garden of Time for 2025, they're not just random prompts. They invite this deep exploration of history, culture, leading to all sorts of interpretation.
Exactly. It's a really rich canvas for creativity. You get fantasy, history, personal narratives all woven into the clothes.
Okay, this is where it gets really juicy. So considering Marilyn's legacy and the Met Gala's whole vibe, how do we imagine her spirit showing up for the Garden of Time? What does a 2025 avant-garde take on Marilyn look like for that theme?
Well, the key is synthesis, I think. You take her classic elegance, that undeniable Maryland-ness, and you filter it through contemporary haute couture. Really push it. It's not about a costume, a direct copy. It's an interpretation of her spirit. So, for instance, maybe a gown with sculpted elements that feel like petals, almost alive. We're seeing designers use incredible techniques now. Think petal shapes, but maybe achieved through 3D printing or laser cutting, textures that mimic nature.
Wow.
It could even be, a collaboration. Imagine Prada's clean lines meeting Iris Van Herpen's architectural forms. You could get these amazing curves, maybe layers of ombre silk that shift like light through leaves.
Okay, that sounds stunning. Her timeless glamour, but with this really modern, almost organic feel.
Right.
What about accessories? How do you fit those?
Accessories could be a really clever blend. You hint at the 50s, maybe a wide-brimmed hat. But reinterpret it. Maybe it's made of shimmering, almost translucent organza, perhaps with tiny, intricate crystal dewdrops scattered across it, or even micro LEDs for a soft glow.
Oh, interesting.
And the jewelry, It could play with the time aspect of the theme, maybe diamonds cut to look like miniature watch faces, really delicate, or even kinetic pieces, something that subtly moves, reflecting the fleeting nature of time. Very sophisticated.
And the beauty look, the platinum hair, the red lip.
You'd keep the essence, definitely. The platinum waves, maybe that garden rose red lip color, but update it, make it feel fresh, luminous. Modern textures, perhaps. It's all about channeling that timelessness, but through reinvention, using today's tools and aesthetics.
You mentioned these cutting-edge techniques, and our sources really dive into how designers are innovating. Can you unpack that a bit more? What are these techniques, these avant-garde elements we're seeing in couture now?
Oh, absolutely. Modern couture is, it's like a laboratory. It's gone way beyond just sewing. It's this fusion of high art and high tech sometimes. You mentioned Iris van Herpen. She's like the perfect example, using 3D printing. She creates these structures, these forms that almost seem to breathe, organic shapes you just couldn't achieve with traditional methods. Her work from, say, 2007 to 2013 really showcases this shift. New materials, new tech, enabling new forms.
So it changes the silhouette, the structure, everything.
Exactly. And you see others like Yohji Yamamoto, Rei Kawakubo, Issey Miyake. They've redefined clothing, created almost a new category. We're talking garments with built-in digital displays, remote-controlled elements, electronic textiles. There are laser-cut silicone strips creating textures, kinetic designs. I read about a dress with a metal-plated skirt that expands via remote control.
Seriously? Wow.
Yeah. And even physical fashion, physical clothes linked to digital assets like NFTs. It's wild.
Not just the tech, though, is it? It's also about challenging beauty standards, playing with form.
Definitely. That's a huge part of the avant-garde spirit. How do designers push artistic expression? Look at Alexander McQueen. He took tailoring, something traditional, and twisted it with this radical imagination, creating totally new silhouettes. Remember the bumsters? Controversial, yes, but they challenged everything.
Right. Very provocative.
Or Rei Kawakubo at Comme des Garçons. She's famous for playing with ugliness, distorting the body shape, making you question conventional beauty. Jean-Paul Gaultier, too, always experimenting, breaking down ideas about gender, time, beauty norms. And then you have houses like En Auras-tu Vu. They are explicitly experimental, avant-garde. They'll integrate objects from nature, everyday items, use really bold colors, unconventional materials. It's pure creative freedom.
So there's this real sense of playfulness, too. Graffiti elements, distorted shapes.
Yeah.
You mentioned the paysement.
Yeah, that's the technique of taking something familiar out of its context and putting it somewhere unexpected. Like in high fashion, it makes you see it differently. Even going back, someone like Balenciaga, considered very modern in his time, his work had this architectural quality, sculptural, using lines, form, movement to obscure the body sometimes, create these dramatic new shapes. The focus was the garment as art.
Okay, so we have all this innovation, 3D printing, kinetic elements, challenging shapes, tech integration. How does all that complement Marilyn's classic style? It sounds like it could clash.
That's the really interesting part. It doesn't have to clash. It's about synergy. Using these modern, even disruptive elements allows for a fresh interpretation. It's not about copying her 1950s look exactly. It's about capturing her essence, that timeless glamour, that vulnerability, that strength, but expressing it through a completely 2025 lens. It shows how the past feeds the present, you know? Designers can respect history, draw on classic beauty like Marilyn's, but then filter it through today's technology, today's experimental spirit, today's questions. And that creates something totally new, yet still resonant with her spirit. It's reinvention.
Right, so that imagined petal gown you described, or the hat with crystal dewdrops or the watch face diamonds, those are perfect examples. They feel like her, but they also feel completely new and tied to the theme.
Exactly. It's taking her elegance and amplifying it, making it relevant and exciting now, using everything couture has to offer.
Wow, what a fascinating journey. We started with Marilyn's huge cultural footprint, explored the Met Gala as this imaginative stage, and then really pictured how her spirit could be interpreted for the Garden of Time, using truly modern avant-garde couture.
Yeah, it really shows how an icon's legacy isn't static. It can be constantly reinterpreted, reinvented, not just by paying simple homage, but through, real innovation, radical techniques sometimes. It highlights how designers can blend that classic elegance with cutting-edge ideas to make something completely fresh, while still nodding to the past.
It really does. And it underlines that whole cyclical nature of fashion, doesn't it? An image from the 50s sparking ideas for 2025.
Absolutely. True style endures but evolves. Which kind of leaves a question for you listening. As fashion keeps pushing boundaries with tech, with art, with everything, what other icons or maybe classic styles from history do you think are just waiting for that modern avant-garde reinvention? Who's next?
Definitely something to think about, especially as we wait to see what actually blooms in the Garden of Time next year. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.